Good. We are now.
We're on.
We are now. Okay, folks, thank you. All right, adequate notice of this December the 20th. Well, I'll tell you, time flies, right? A couple more days and
Wow.
the Christmas. December 20th meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building, 1000 Route 10, Whippany, Township of Hanover, by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: the Hanover Eagle, Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and by filing same with the Township Clerk. Have a roll call.
On roll call, Committeeman Schleifer.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasta.
Here.
Committeeman Bruno.
Here.
Committeeman Capola.
Yeah.
And Mayor Francioli.
Here.
5 members in attendance, sir.
Thank you, Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. If I can, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, in recognizing the horrific situation that took place at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown this past Friday, I would like us to give a moment of silence, if we can, at this time for these young children and these valiant, wonderful teachers who lost their lives. I thank you for that. The governor has decreed that tomorrow at 9:30, municipal bodies, etc., governmental bodies, etc., will give a moment of silence for the children and teachers of Newtown. Today, just before we open to the public, I will share on the same subject. We had a wonderful event with the Bayer Healthcare folks, employees from Women's Healthcare, who will be joining us here in Hanover this spring. They did a bicycle project for the kids. Quite simply, what they did was they put together some 19 bicycles, and Scott Pepper, Superintendent of Schools, identified some needy families within our township. And I thank him for that, because sometimes it's very important for somebody to remind us that we do have needy families here in Hanover Township. And the joy that came out of that this afternoon was so necessary to see those bicycles go out the door, and they'll be delivered to those families over the course of tomorrow, I think, so that's really fine. Thank you for listening to me on that. Motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. Anyone would like to address the Township Committee at this time, they can do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record. Seeing none, hearing none. Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Administrator.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We have 2 public hearings docketed this evening, ladies and gentlemen. On the first item, the Superintendent of the Recreation and Park Administration Department, in cooperation with the Board of Recreation Commissioners, has prepared an application to the Morris County Department of Planning and Development in seeking a $35,000 grant through the Federal Community Development Block Grant Program. And that money will be wisely utilized to replace an outmoded and outdated dial-a-ride vehicle, which we so desperately need. It would be retrofitted to provide for disabled individuals. That's why the cost is $35,000. I will note for the record, we have $10,000 in township funds that was appropriated by the Township Committee last year, so that would provide a necessary match if necessary. The Community Development Block Grant regulations require a public hearing on that application So at this time, I would ask the governing body for a motion to convene the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Bruno, seconded by Mr. Capola. Is there anyone in chambers wishing to be heard concerning that application? Seeing none, hearing none, may we have a motion to close the public hearing? So moved by Mr.
Second.
Capola, seconded by Mr. Bruno. On roll call, Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, we would also need just a voice motion approving the submission of the grant to the Community Development Block Grant Program. I believe the date of submission is January the 11th.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Schleifer, seconded by Mr. Capola. On
All
roll
in favor?
call.
You want roll call or you want all in favor?
Roll call.
A roll
Yeah, if
call.
we could. Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca,
Aye.
who I believe made the motion.
Yeah.
Sorry. Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
And Mr.
Aye.
Capola and Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved, thank you. The second public hearing, ladies and gentlemen, is on a situation dealing with property maintenance violations which exist at 45 Locust Drive in the Cedar Knolls section of the township. Members of the governing body earlier this week were afforded with a report from our construction official serving as the building inspector and property maintenance officer, outlining the violations at 45 Locust Drive. As the governing body has done with 3 other properties in the township, based on the township's property maintenance code, the code requires that a public hearing be convened at this time, and after listening to any comments from the public, then to approve a resolution to authorize the abatement of violations by the building inspector, property maintenance officer, and also appointing the building inspector, property maintenance officer as the custodian of the property. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I would ask a motion by a member of the Township Committee to convene the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Mr.
Second.
Faramasca, seconded by Mr. Bruno. On roll call, Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to be heard concerning the property maintenance violations at 45 Locust Drive in the Cedar Knolls section of the township?
I don't think there's no one hearing. No, go ahead.
Okay. Any comments, Mr. Donlin, into the record at this time?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I would like to
Sure.
thank Mr. Donlin and his department for addressing the issue of a blighted condition in the middle of this residential zone that we've had a number of problems with. And then now there's an action plan identified to move place to correct the situation, so I want to publicly thank you.
To what extent, Sean, if I might, in your capacity as custodian and maintenance of the property, would that include, I mean, there's broken windows, there's rotting woods and the thing, there's broken doors, etc. I mean, I'm out on the property looking at all, the driveway's in complete disarray. I mean, to what extent are you going to make judgments as to what the, because in my opinion, if we're going to take charge of this property, and I understand there are some other intricate areas here with Internal Revenue Service and other liens on this property. And on a second note, gentlemen, I think if Fred or someone from our legal department can get a letter to Internal Revenue and ask recourse on that. In other words, if they intend to foreclose on this property, whatever they're going to do, you know, let's get some action here so that this property is going to stay in perpetuity the way it is, you know. But going back to what I was saying, I think everybody here would like to see that house at least be cleaned up to the point that it fits back into the neighborhood. Let me put it that way.
Understood.
You know, and you think that's reasonable to
I will recommend
accomplish that?
address the exterior of the building and general maintenance of the grounds.
Okay. The other question, I guess, for the Township Committee is that we're going to be putting resources into this property, and obviously, what are we going to put another lien on top of a lien on top of a lien on this property? You know?
We would, if we have to do financial towards it, we'd have to put a lien on it.
Yeah.
that
Well,
roadway.
obviously IRS gets theirs served first.
Whether,
Yeah.
at this point, there's so many liens on the property, if we would ever see our,
Well,
That's
I
been
think,
returned.
you know, this is going to set the tempo for something else we've got to be looking at. There are other pieces of property in town that I think are going to follow suit. This is a workshop discussion. But I think we have to discuss from a legal standpoint what the township's recourse is to other agencies. Okay.
In addition to the externals with that property, are there any issues, Sean, or do we have any rights to even do an inspection of the internal facility to make certain that there's potentially not gas issues in terms of leakage, in terms of electrical problems, or, you know, whatever internal problems could go on inside of that house as well?
I believe that would have to be explored with Fred. I don't know if we have the right to gain access to inside. I believe this format is generally for the exterior, so I would stress maybe the open doors and the open windows. But we'll have to explore that, gain access, and address items that we find inside.
Okay, so perhaps, Mr. Giorgio, we could ask Mr. Samro to try to get us access, because we don't know the safety condition of what's inside that house as well.
We don't know if the electric is on or off. We don't know if the plumbing is on or off, or the.
No, but there is still a meter present, so.
You could tell that with the meter.
Yes, I don't know.
Because with winter coming on now, if they've got water in the lines and other things like that, and the water is still on, we could have some major problems there. All right. Okay. Let's look into that. Judy, you have any questions on this?
Judy Irati, 27 Malaportis Road, Whippany. Yeah, first I want to thank you for taking the action, and I think I can speak for the neighborhood when I say thank you about this. It's an unfortunate situation at the house next door to a property that I just purchased. And bringing up the situation with the gas, I had never thought about that before. But I don't think there's electric in the house, because there's some people that go in and use the house once in a while, gaining entrance through the back door, and they use candles. But I'm not sure about the gas. So that would be a potential risk, explosion risk, if there were gas in there, because I do believe that the baseboard heating was ripped out for the copper value, and that was stripped and sold. But I don't know if there's gas going into the house. I know you can shut off the water in the street, so you wouldn't have a problem with the water in the house, but I don't know about that gas, which could be potentially very dangerous, especially if they're using candles. You know, I don't know what happened to the furnace, if it's there or not, but certainly it would be a danger to the neighborhood if there was suddenly leaking gas and candles and, you know, that stuff. And also, I'd like to request that if you do board up the house, from the front facade, that if you're thinking about boarding up the broken windows, kind of put the plywood on the inside of the house instead of on the outside. That's not too attractive. From the road's view, the house looks pretty good, except for the grounds that are not kept at all. But again, I'd like to say thank you very much for taking action on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. That backyard is a mess. Abandoned television sets, tires, broken glass, and but if we can, going back to Deputy Mayor's comment, though, if we can get inside that house, see what the gas and water situation is secured, because they can be turned off from the street, right?
Yes, I can.
All right. And we may have to consider that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. May
Thank
we
you,
have a motion to close the
So
public
moved.
hearing?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Ferramaska, seconded by Mr. Schleifer. On roll call, Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Franciulli.
Aye.
Now on the resolution, a resolution of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, accepting and adopting the December 5th, 2012 findings and recommendations report of the construction official property maintenance officer concerning the condition of property located at 45 Locust Drive in the Cedar Knolls section of the Township, and further authorizing the expenditure of municipal funds for the purpose of implementing the findings and recommendations in remediating or correcting the defects on the property, and appointing the construction official in his capacity as building inspector to serve as the custodian of the property, all in accordance with the provisions of Article 4, entitled Municipal Intervention, as set forth in Chapter 218 of the Code of the Township, entitled Property Maintenance. May we have a motion on the approval of the resolution?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Fermaska, seconded by Mr. Bruno. On roll call for approval, Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, now we continue with public hearing. Consideration on adoption of Land Use Ordinance Number 27-12. This ordinance amends and supplements Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, by amending regulations for the IB3 zone district and by amending various other provisions to be consistent with the amendment. We have the proof of publication that the ordinance and the notice of the introduction appeared in full in the November 29th issue of the Daily Record. We'll also note for the record that the ordinance was filed with the Morris County Department of Planning and Development, sent to all the contiguous municipalities, and to the Hanover Township Planning Board for a review and recommendation in accordance with the municipal land use law. And we have received the following letter from the Planning Board, dated December 11th, 2012, and it reads as follows. Dear Mr. Giorgio, at its December 11th, 2012 meeting, the Planning Board reviewed and discussed Ordinance 27-12, which had been referred by the Township Committee as required by the Municipal Land Use Law at NJSA 40:55D-26A, which reads in pertinent part as follows, and I quote, prior to the adoption of a development regulation, revision, or amendment thereto, the Planning Board shall make and transmit to the governing body, within 35 days after referral, a report including identification of any provisions in the proposed development regulation, revision, or amendment which are inconsistent with the master plan, and recommendations concerning these inconsistencies and any other matters as the board deems appropriate, end quote. Ordinance 27-12 would amend the land use ordinance to 1, permit convenience stores and motor vehicle service stations in the existing IB3 zone district as part of a larger retail development subject to certain standards in the ordinance. 2, change the minimum lot or tract area requirements in the IB3 zone from a gross area requirement to a net developable area requirement. And 3, add a minimum floor area requirement for retail sales, conference centers, and related uses. In comparing Ordinance 27-12 with the master plan, the Planning Board has determined that Ordinance 27-12 is substantially consistent with the master plan. The Board has this evening adopted an amendment to the land use plan element that recommends both the existing and proposed IB3 zone policies. The Board recommends adoption of the ordinance as introduced. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on Ordinance 27-12. For the Planning Board, very truly yours, Robert Nardone, Vice Chairman. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, may we have a motion to convene a public hearing
So moved.
on Ordinance 27-12. We have a motion by Mr. Fermaska, seconded by Mr. Schleifer. On roll call, Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to be heard concerning 27-12? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, may we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Fermaska, seconded by Mr. Schleifer. On roll call to close the public hearing, Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, on adoption, Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, amending and supplementing Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, by amending the regulations for the IB3 zone district, and by amending various other provisions in Chapter 166 to be consistent with the foregoing amendments, be passed on final reading, and that a notice of the final passage of the ordinance be published in the December 27th, 2012 issue of the Daily Record. May we have a motion on adoption?
So moved.
So moved by Mr.
Second.
Bruno, second by Mr. Faramasca. Before we take that vote, I just want to point out for the record that because of a computer problem, there were two whereas clauses that were omitted inadvertently from that ordinance. I just want to read those two whereas clauses into the record, and we'll take that motion as an amendment. So this does not substantially change the intent of the ordinance. It is only the preamble to the ordinance. And it states as follows: whereas the IB3 zone district was created in order to allow development for industrial, office, and large-scale land uses for various properties along Hanover Avenue and Horse Hill Road. And whereas the Township Committee, on the recommendation of the Planning Board, has determined that it would be appropriate to amend Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, in order to permit convenience stores and motor vehicle service stations as part of a larger retail development in the IB3 zone district, and to make modifications to the standards for retail development in the district. So if that is satisfactory, I would ask for
Want a motion on that?
another motion.
So approved.
So moved by
Second.
Mr. Francioli, seconded by Mr. Faramasca. So then on the motion for adoption, with the inclusion of the two whereas clauses which are not substantive in nature, do not materially affect the ordinance, we would now take the roll call. On adoption, Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Yes, aye, but I would like to ask that the committee consider the issues of the convenience stores and service stations, which I did submit to them in writing, so, yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So adopted. Very much.
Trade you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have resolutions as a consent agenda. There are no additional resolutions to be added. Are there any questions from members of the governing body concerning any of the resolutions? Okay, hearing none then, may we have a motion? We have a motion by Mr. Capola
Second?
to approve the consent agenda with a second by Mr. Schleifer. On roll call for approval, Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
And members of the Township Committee, ladies and gentlemen, the last item on the Administrator Clerk's agenda, payment of bills, disbursement of funds, $236,136.06.
Make the motion, we pay the bills.
We have a motion by Finance Director
Second.
Schleifer, seconded by Mr. Capola. On roll call, Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, members of the Township Committee, that clears the agenda of the Business Administrator Township Clerk.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, is there any other business from the Township Committee at this time? Ken?
Nothing really to add. Just everyone enjoy, have a nice holiday, Merry Christmas,
Yep.
stay safe, and we'll see you at our reorganization meeting after that.
John?
Yes, happy holidays to all. Very Merry Christmas, Happy and Healthy New Year, and enjoy these special days that are
Yeah,
ahead of us.
absolutely. George?
Yes, very quick.
Okay.
1 minute. I just would like to say, I'd like to thank Chief Gallagher and the police during the situation that occurred, unfortunately in Connecticut, with the police presence, marked cars and officers. He immediately responded, and I think it definitely did give a comfort level to the resident. So thank you, Chief. And I would also like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy and Blessed New Year.
Echo those sentiments. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all, and we look forward to seeing everyone here at noon on New Year's Day for the reorganization meeting.
Yes, yes, that's a reminder that all the public is invited to join us here at noon, this town hall for our reorganization day. All new and returning appointees should be here to be sworn in. And following reorganization, we have a wonderful reception. We'd like to see all at the Recreation Center. Join us for some food and refreshment. Wishing everybody a happy Hanukkah, a wonderful, happy New Year, and certainly a Merry, Merry Christmas in light of all that's befallen us. Let's be happy with our families as we are. A little notice, and the Deputy Mayor just put in front of me, and it's a wonderful piece of news, and we're happy to break the news here first. You heard it first, right here. And the facility that we know as Dendron, the Dendron, as most of us know, was originally the Colgate-Palmolive warehousing facility up on Hanover Avenue. Dendron has vacated that facility, is in the process of vacating that facility, and we just received information that Novartis will be acquiring that plant for a manufacturing facility for some $43 million. So that will stay here with Hanover as a viable rateable, and we're really very, very, very happy over that. So this expansion of rings, as we've always talked about, as we start to grow here in Hanover, and leading us toward more and more toward what we call a pharma community, and it's wonderful. So good news. Motion to open the floor.
So moved.
Second. Moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, the floor is open. Anyone would like to discuss anything with the Township Committee may do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record. Seeing none, hearing none. Motion is closed. Okay, it's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you. Okay. All right, gentlemen, we just have a little more business to do. And so, now this is,
That's going with the recycling newsletter. It's like you can-
yes.